everybody. Welcome to Happy Plate. I'm Jewel. We have a really special episode for you today. I was thinking that since Valentine's Day is coming up, that I should share with you a love story. It's not just any regular love story. It is the creepiest, probably the most sinister and weirdest love story that you'll probably ever hear. I'm going to introduce you to Carl Tanzler and his corpse bride. We'll do first bites and then we'll jump right in. But you really want to hear this story. We are eating here Daktoritang, which is a Korean spicy chicken stew.
Yeah, these are all chicken legs. With potatoes and carrots and onion and some scallions.
There you go, people. And also, today's meal is provided by my sister. I mean, seriously, look at that. Isn't it so beautiful? I almost don't want to touch it, but I'm totally going to because I'm so hungry. But seriously, it's gorgeous. And then we've got this bowl of rice, which I plated myself. Look how perfect that is. Looks like a snowball. And then for dessert, because there's always room for sugar, we have some heart-shaped sugar cookies. I'll eat this one since I touched it already.
Okay.
Heart-shaped chocolate-covered pretzels.
My favorite.
So let's do first bites. And again, I'm gonna get messy with this. Actually, I'm gonna try to be neat and use my spoon to get the meat off so you guys don't have to see me go to town like last episode.
It's definitely tender enough to use a spoon.
Oh, yes. Here we go, first bites. Ready?
It's so good. If I do say so myself.
You would. Oh my god. The potatoes are like really soft too, but they're not mushy. It's a little bit sweet. It's really spicy, but it's a little bit sweet.
Sweet and spicy.
It's like the best combo ever.
Couldn't get any mirin or no.
Alright, I'm gonna have to dig into my snowball here. Oh my god. I didn't get enough chicken on that bite.
I told you, a pair of chopsticks, you can literally split it right off the bone and then put it directly into your face. No messing with spoons, cutting it, and then scooping it.
I know, I should have. I can't believe how hungry I am right now. This is seriously so good.
Carrots are so good. That's also probably another reason why it's sweet. The onions and the carrots.
A couple more bites and I swear I'm gonna jump into the story.
It's like the perfect amount of spice too, I think. It's like tingles on your lips, but it doesn't make you like, it doesn't hurt. You know?
Yeah, it's like, if you like spicy food, you'll love this. And if you don't like spicy food, you'll love this.
Yeah.
Look at him!
What a
bad boy. Where's my chicken at? Oh.
I still have some chicken. I can't believe how much you've eaten already.
I know,
you haven't even started the story.
I can't.
You probably should though, because...
Alright, seriously, last bite.
I guess you... Try a piece.
Okay, so I'm forcing myself to take a break from this meal because it's so delicious that I don't want to, but I really need to jump into this story. Also, please note, white shirt, still white, right? Yeah, still white. Carl Tanzler. He was born in 1877 in Germany. He spent a lot of his younger years kind of traveling and eventually found himself in Australia. And he dabbled in different things like engineering and I think he used to build ships for a little while, and then eventually World War I started. And since he was from Germany, they kept him in a concentration camp.
In case he was a spy or something?
Yeah, just for safekeeping.
Like what the
was
US,
what it was.
Like what the US did to the Japanese.
That was, I think we're getting into something a little deeper here, so moving on. Anyway, during World War I, he was in a concentration camp, got moved to another prison, and eventually when it all ended, he was released and he went back to Germany. And that is when he met his wife. No, not the dead one, but his wife, and then he ended up having a couple of children. Post-World War I, there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity, so he decided that he was going to immigrate to America. So him, his wife, and their 2 daughters, they ended up finding themselves in Zephyr Hills, Florida. And then about a year later, so we're in like 1927 now, right? He ended up getting a job as an x-ray tech at a hospital in Key West. So he ended up leaving his wife and children in Zephyr Hills, and he went by himself to Key West. He started working at this hospital, and a few years later, in walks this beautiful young Cuban-American girl named Maria Elena Milagro de Hoyos. We're gonna call her Elena for short. That's what she's referenced in like all of my readings. They call her Elena, or Helen, but Elena. This girl walks in and he immediately falls in love because he knows for a fact that this is actually his true love. Wanna know why he knows that?
Why?
Throughout his life, including when he was a child, he claimed that he had one of his dead ancestors who would come to him and in like visions, and she showed him the face of his one true love. And of course, she was a dark-haired, exotic foreign woman. So when she walked into the hospital, he was like, oh, thank God I left my kids and my wife back in whatever town, Florida, because here's the love of my life. She was at the hospital because her mother brought her in for an examination because she was ill. And that's where Carl Tanzler first met her. Unfortunately, she ended up being diagnosed with tuberculosis, which of course we know at that time it was a death sentence, basically. So Carl Tanzler, being the self-professed medical practitioner that he was, decided to take it upon himself to treat her and to care for her. So she goes back to her parents' home. And he is showing up and he's like taking x-rays of her and making these like concoctions to give her and these medicines and stuff. And unfortunately, on October 25th, 1931, she ended up passing away. So despite all of his efforts, he couldn't save her life. And he was devastated, of course. Elena did not come from a wealthy family. So Tanzler actually offered to pay for her funeral. Not only that, but he also insisted on paying to have a mausoleum, an above ground mausoleum built to keep her body. Her parents were just thankful that he offered to pay, so they kind of just let it all happen. And then Elena's mom ended up giving him a lock of her hair, like as a keepsake. I know it sounds weird, but
serial killers do that.
I know. Yeah. I know. I'm picturing that guy in Charlie's Angels where he like cuts the hair out and he like smells it. Creepy thin tall guy or whatever they call him. Yeah. But Tanzler's love does not end just because Elena's life ended. He continued to visit her gravesite every single night for 2 years. Every single night he would go to the grave. And then 2 years later, he suddenly just stopped showing up. And her parents thought it was kind of weird that he just randomly stopped showing up, but like you would think a normal person should want to move on with their life, should want to like, you know, try and continue on without obsessing over somebody who you loved so much and you proposed to every single day and got, even though you got denied, he proposed to her every day while she was sick.
And he proposed. Well.
Yeah, and he would like buy her gifts and stuff while she was sick. You would think that he stopped showing up because he was like, I really need to figure this out and move on, right? That's not the reason. The reason why is because one night in 1933, he showed up to her gravesite with a toy wagon and stole her body and brought it back to his home.
Wow.
Well, he didn't just let a body that's been decomposing for 2 years like right into his home. Of course, who would do that, right? He actually brought her into a makeshift lab that he built inside an old airplane.
What? Where did he get an old airplane?
I have no idea. That's a good question. Oh. This is what he did to her body in this airplane. Are you ready for this? Of course, a decomposing body wasn't good enough for him, right? He wanted his Elena. So he used coat hangers and music wire, like, you know, piano wire, to like straighten her limbs and to prop up like her joints and stuff, basically.
Oh my God.
Yeah, to put like stiffness back into her body. And then he used, for like her decomposing skin, he used, you know what plaster of Paris is? You've probably used it, but.
Like paper mache?
Yeah, yeah. So he would take like cloth, like silk and stuff, and he would use plaster of Paris and wax, and he would like rebuild her skin.
It's a weirdo.
He was just, yeah, a little bit. So, you know, her body, he wanted to bring it back to like the normal shape of a human body. So he would also take like rags and stuff her chest cavity and like her abdomen to like bulk it back out. And he got glass eyes and gave her eyeballs.
More chickens? That's actually very scary.
Yeah. It's so scary. And then he took like what little hair was on her like left on her head, and the lock of hair that, or I don't know if it was just a lock, but whatever hair her mother gave him, he like crafted a wig, put this wig on her so that she had her own hair. Since she was decomposing, like to offset the stench, he would like just keep spraying perfume on her, and he used like disinfectants and stuff on her. He dressed her fully. He decked her out in jewelry. So when Tanzler thought that she was at an acceptable, mummified sort of look, he decided, okay, I can bring her into my home now. So he brought her in, and they lived life together. So she was a dead corpse, but she slept in his bed every single night for 7 years.
Damn.
7 years.
Yeah.
She wouldn't be like gone.
Yeah. How did he stop the decomposing to move forward?
I know.
It had to keep going, like kept going underneath.
So the more she decomposed, the more he would use the wax and the plaster of Paris,
so
the more he'd spray perfume.
Wax model at that point.
She was more doll than human. That's actually what they describe it as, that she was more doll than human at that point. But looking at the pictures, it's kind of crazy that he was able to keep like a dead human looking. I mean, not saying that she could ever pass as like
a live person.
Yeah, not to be rude, but yeah, it's kind of amazing. So he spent 7 years like in bliss with her. They slept together every night. He ate dinner with her at the dining room table.
Did he just like pull her across the floor by her?
I imagine he probably carried her like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, let's eat.
How do you
like, how do people, yeah, I know. He must have spent that whole 2 years sitting at her grave, contemplating on how exactly he was going to go about making her
That's
alive.
A good point. Yeah, he probably
not alive.
Plotted it out for a while.
But like,
turning her
how did they find her? Like, how'd they find out what he did?
I will get there, don't you worry. It's, yeah.
Is that so good? Isn't it kind of cold now?
No, it's delicious. Last piece of chicken.
That chicken looks so good.
I know.
The bone is
Look at
perfectly cleaned off.
Comes right off. All right, so apparently this is big enough for one bite.
It's like half of a chicken thigh. What do you mean? I mean, chicken leg. I love fried chicken. But it's bad for you, so we stew it.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Wow, they're fat.
Wow. You ate that fast.
This is the fastest I've ever made a happy plate.
I know. I can't believe that. You're gonna need more rice to soak up that stew.
A little more rice.
I didn't say the chicken.
When to? Oh my god. You know how clean the bottom is though.
We have a mountain of chicken bones going.
Yeah.
It'll be nice and keep it off camera though. Alright, since I only have one bite left, I'm just gonna take one more bite. Well, for a normal person, it's actually like 2 or 3 bites. I'm gonna do it in one.
Your mouth really is so big.
So since Tanzler treated Elena like she was his real life bride, he would go into town and he would buy her like pretty clothes and he'd buy her jewelry.
He's bribing her, and even if she's dead.
He's trying to treat her like a wife, but I bet you he didn't treat his real wife like that.
Oh, the one he left behind in Zephyr Hills, Florida with his 2 kids and never talked to again? Yeah, exactly. I don't think he did. But because of this, it kind of stirred up some rumors. So people in town were always like, oh, well, maybe he has a girlfriend. Maybe he's married again. But he would never be seen around with whoever it was he was buying all these gifts for. There was a kid in his neighborhood who he saw through the window, and he saw him dancing with a life-size doll. That's what the kid said. And that's when it really, like, the rumors really started to grow.
He must have had a lot of money.
I know.
He did have a lot of money, actually. People must have really believed that he was an actual, like,
Doctor.
medical practitioner or something, yeah.
And he just abandoned his 2 kids and wife. I wonder if he was paying child support.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably
I'm gonna
not.
go with no.
He was too busy buying jewelry for
a dead corpse. So for a little while that worked, but eventually the rumors reached Elena's family. So one day in 1940, so here we are 7 years later.
Wow.
Elena's sister Florinda grew really suspicious and she wanted to know if there was any truth to these rumors. She shows up at his house and she sees through one of his windows. She can see Tanzler and Elena dancing. So Florinda immediately calls the police. They show up, they immediately arrest them, they take her body. For whatever reason, the state of Florida thought it would be a great idea to put her body on display. So they put her body on display at a funeral home in Key West. I'm talking like field trips of children would go. Like this was
an attraction.
A huge attraction. Her body ended up bringing almost 7,000 people to this funeral home to get a look at her body. And then eventually the state of Florida, like when things started slowing down and people sort of lost interest, they were like, okay, we're gonna give her body back to her family.
How did the family sue the state?
I couldn't find like how they thought it was okay to put someone's body on display without permission. Or even like, why wouldn't her parents get her body right off the get, you know, right from the get? I have no idea. So bizarre. I feel like weird things happen in Florida often.
I know. It's people like this guy and doing stuff like that gives Florida a really bad name.
Exactly. Like if you watch Forensic Files, do you ever watch that?
I used to.
I swear every episode they're like, in a small town in Florida. All the time. Like everyone's from Florida.
Their family may have let the state take the body for money, so
that's a good point. They could have.
And you wouldn't want to put it back to the place where her body was taken from, and like.
Well, yes, that's sort of what I was getting to too. Is eventually when they were given the body, they did end up burying her in an unmarked grave because.
Oh, so he couldn't go back after he was released.
Yeah, because like, that's fool me once and all of that. You know, just for safekeeping.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
that's sad.
It's so sad. And then think about the first time that they probably saw her body.
Yeah.
You know, when she was discovered.
And
probably terrifying.
Looks, so scary.
Yeah. As for Tanzler, he of course had to be evaluated to make sure that he was mentally fit to take the stand because he was going to trial because of course he got arrested for grave robbing. There's like a fancier term for it, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head. But shockingly, he passed. So he had to go to trial. And do you want to know his end game with her?
What?
His plan all along. So he claimed
married.
No, that's like, his dreams were way higher than that. So his plan, what he wanted to do with her, was to eventually fly her into the stratosphere so that the radiation would penetrate her tissues
and bring her back to life.
And bring her back to life.
And when she comes back to life filled with metal objects.
Yeah, co-hangers and whatnot.
Yeah, anything.
That's what he wanted to do with her. He just loved her so much. He wanted her to be alive.
How is he going to shoot her onto the stratosphere?
Maybe the makeshift lab that he was mummifying her in. Maybe he was going to bring the airplane back to life too.
This is like if you took an episode of Criminal Minds and made it supernatural.
I know, it is. I'm picturing her like coming back glowing green, like floating down from the
Yeah, or flying in like Captain Marvel or something.
Yeah, with a cape.
Yeah. No.
You know what? He would have taken her if she came back green and alive. You know? Okay, so he ended up being released and all charges were dropped because the statute of limitations.
Oh, 7 years.
Yeah. He ended up getting away with everything. So he left free, and it's reported that on his way out, he asked for her body back. Which they told him no, of course.
Yeah. Is he an idiot? Is he an idiot?
He's just really crazy. So now he's a free man, and he has to try and continue his life. How does he do that with Elena? Well, let me tell you how he does that. He doesn't go totally without Elena. He actually ended up making a death mask. A death mask out of a mold of her face. And he put the mask on a life-size doll. And he slept with that for the rest of his life until he died.
Are you
at
kidding?
75 years old in 1952.
Are you kidding?
Nope. And supposedly they found his dead body. He had been dead for like 3 weeks already. It was rumored that when they found him, he was laying with his Elena doll with the mask. It's rumored. We don't know if
I wonder
it's
if he
true.
talked to the doll. Like have conversations
When he had
and
the death
arguments.
mask
Like,
doll.
I'm sick of cooking dinner, you cook dinner.
Yeah, like stop nagging me while the doll's just like laying there on the couch.
Yeah, with a mask on it.
Yeah, so creepy, right? So everybody, that was the creepy story of Carl Tanzler and his corpse bride. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you let the romance sweep you away. I hope you aspire to love as hard as Carl Tanzler loved Elena.
Just thought it's
maybe a little
disgustingly.
less.
Yeah.
If you liked our story, then give it a thumbs up. If you want to continue to hear some more weird stories every Thursday, subscribe. And of course, if you have any suggestions for some yummy food you want us to try, or any suggestions to some really great weird history, leave us a comment below. Thank you all. Bye. See you next time.